All right, and welcome to the TFO next morning. I am TheRaja, and we're going to be going over week 15. Man, can you believe we've already had 15 weeks in the 2016 season of Odin? It has been incredible. And as we end this chapter of the season of Odin and look on to the playoffs, there are some important games that have happened. So let's go through the recap for the week 15 games. And on Thursday Night Football, it was the Lost Survivors taking on the Stellar Offenders. A big time divisional matchup, which looked out of reach for the Lost Survivors as they were down by 14 in the fourth. But after a long drive, it was running back Kate Austin running in a 2-yard touchdown to bring them within 7. On the following kickoff, we see Offenders kick returner King Zarkon lose the ball, and Lost kicker Ana Lucia recovers to put Lost in scoring range. But on a 4th down, the Offender defense shows up and blocked John Locke's pass to give the ball back to the Offenders. The game looks sealed until Offender quarterback Darth Vader is picked off by cornerback Charlie Pace, giving Lost another chance with less than 2 minutes remaining. But once again, the Offender D holds, and they secure the victory. Lost Survivors 14, Stellar Offenders 21. This victory places Nick Dean's Stellar Offenders as the first team to achieve 10 victories this season, and secures his spot in the TFO postseason. Way to go, Nick. And then we had the Saturday night special, which was the Beer Gods taking on the All-American Alkies. A game in which we see 2 alcoholic branded teams going head to head. This was a very back and forth game that saw the Beer Gods score 14 points in the fourth quarter to take the lead by 7. But with just seconds left on the clock, it was Alkies quarterback Jim Bean connecting with superstar wide receiver Captain Morgan to take us to Saturday night overtime. The Alkies win the coin toss, and during the first drive, it's deja vu as Alkies quarterback Jim Bean hits another amazing pass to Captain Morgan and seals the deal. Beer Gods 20, Alkies 26 in overtime. This is the Beer Gods' 4th loss in a row, which is an all-time record for that storied franchise. Will they be able to bounce back, or has their season of Odin hopes crumbled before their very eyes? With 2 weeks left, we'll have to wait and see. And then that puts us into the Sunday afternoon games. We had the 8-Bit Brigade taking on the Pallet Pokeballers. Both the 8-Bit Brigade and the Ballers are looking for some playoff love, but to get there, they both need a big-time victory this weekend. And with the Brigade up by 3 in the fourth quarter, the Pallet Pokeballers look to tie things up with a 45-yard kick. But Hitmonlee ain't shiny and bounces that shit right off the upright. But it ain't over yet as the Baller defense hits its super evolution and holds the Brigade to a punt. A quick pass to the Greninja places the Ballers back into field goal position. Hitmonlee lines up for a 41-yard kick, but this time he is able to make it and ties the game and takes us to another overtime. The Ballers win the coin toss, and with a great kick return by the sexy Pikachu, followed up by a line drive pass by quarterback Blastoise to running back Greninja, this is just enough to bring kicker Hitmonlee back on the field. He kicked it, and he avenged the shank kick from earlier by getting the Pokeballers the victory. Brigade 24, Ballers 27 in overtime. G.I. Joe fought off against the Celestial Defenders, bitter Mad Crackle rivals and co-hosts of Saturday Night Special. G.I. Joe has not had the best season, but they have been looking to play spoil to teams who are wanting to be playoff bound. And Joe scored first blood on the day with a 46-yard run by Snake Eyes. But during the point after, we see the G.I. Joe line collapse, and the defenders are able to get the kicker to prevent the extra point. This would haunt G.I. Joe as they continued to be up by 6 going into the fourth quarter. That was until quarterback Vash the Stampede was able to connect a 60-yard pass to wide receiver Buzz Lightyear, taking the defenders up by 1. Joe would get another drive, but they were just unable to overcome the defenders' stellar defense. G.I. Joe 20, Defenders 21. The Nocturne Maniacs fought against the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Torturers. The Turtles looked to stay on top of the very close Bad Pop division, but the Maniacs, who look to be out of the playoff picture altogether, just want to piss off their VGV rival. But with Maniacs superstar running back the Dick Chariot Mara out, that wouldn't be such an easy task. But even with Mara out, the Maniacs were able to go into halftime with a 4-point lead. But then the offensive games of both squads seemed to evaporate as defenses played a big role in the second half. We saw an interception by Leatherhead, a fumble by Super Shredder, an interception by the Beelzebub, and multiple punts and sacks. But it was finally Maniacs' backup running back Kamazoots with a 25-yard rush to take the game out of the Turtles' reach. Maniacs 21, Turtles 10. Westeros Guardians fought off against the Greek Legends. This is a game that had massive repercussions. The Guardians are on a 6-game winning streak, looking to bring themselves one game out of first place in the Mad Crackle. The Legends are looking to extend their lead in that division and hoping to secure their very first divisional championship. This game may have been the most important of the weekend. Both squads traded off touchdown after touchdown. In the fourth, the Guardians were down by just a touchdown, but the Legend defense holds them and forces them to kick the field goal instead. With only 2 minutes remaining, the Guardians have no choice but to go for the onside kick, and they get it. Time ticking down, it's quarterback Tywin Lannister connecting with the Red Viper, Prince Oberyn Martell, to snatch the victory out of the Legends' hands. Guardians 30, Legends 28. And that means the Guardians have won 7 in a row. This shatters their previous win streak from their TFO championship season, which saw them win 5 games in a row to claim the 2013 Shiva Bowl. This was a 1-6 team who is now 8-6 and trying to make their playoff dreams come true again, which they haven't done since that very first TFO season. Robot Masters fought off against the Rainbow Unicorns. 2 teams who may not have playoff hopes but still want to end this season strong. And one team did, and that team was the Rainbow Unicorns. Wiley must have misprogrammed the robots because this season has been historically bad for the team. Could they have been infected by the robo-influenza? It's probably more to deal with quarterback copy robot throwing 3 picks on the day. The Unicorns, who were averaging around 11 points a game at this point in the season, doubled their efforts. Actually, they did more than doubled their efforts, and showcased to the TFO that defenses can win games. Masters 7, Unicorns 27. Boxhead Capers were at the DBZ squad. Another 2 teams who are trying to claw their way into the playoff picture. Boxhead looked excited to see their starting quarterback Admiral Akbar back, but it really was the Boxhead defense led by Miss Piggy that held their ground, taking us to the end of the third quarter without allowing the Dragon Balls to score. But just as the third quarter was ending, Caper running back Animal loses the ball to DBZ's specialist, Nappa. A few plays later, and the squad gets their first points on the day from a hard-fought run from Broly. But the DBZ was unable to regain the onside kick, but their defense did hold the Capers to a punt, giving them one more shot. But on 4th down, quarterback Goku overthrows Vegito, and the Capers hold on to victory. Capers 14, DBZ squad 7. World's Warriors met the Whovians. The Warriors have been one of the most spectacular teams to watch this season, and unfortunately the Whovians have had their worst season in TFO history. So on paper, this game looked exactly as it looked on the field. The Whovians played some good ball, but the combination of amazing offense and amazing defense by the World's Warriors just had them in another league. The game was sealed on a 30-yard quarterback sneak by the best quarterback in TFO this season, Sun Tzu. The Warriors also had over 300 yards on offense on the day, just the norm for the Dale Johnson Tecmo Corporation. The Warriors pick up their 10th victory on the season. Warriors 28, Hoovians 10. And the World's Warriors become the first team this season to clinch their division. And now they are back-to-back Mad Snap Divisional Champions. Congratulations, World's Warriors. You deserve it. Azrothian Assassins fought the Rap Kings. Azrothian has been playing spoiler these last few weeks as they've given important losses to their divisional rivals, the Beer Gods and the Weapon X's. So why not try to play spoiler for other divisions as well? Rap Kings are only leading the Mad Snap by a half game, and any loss could spell disaster for the Kings. But the Kings fought hard and even overcame 2 interceptions thrown by quarterback Tupac Shakur. But the defense made their stand and helped hold their high-passing assassin offense to only 118 passing yards on the day. Assassins 10, Kings 21. And to note, the Kings are still only a half game up on the Defenders, as both were victorious this weekend. The racial slurs were at the Hollywood Heroes. Hollywood Heroes owner Clayton Willis is making some slanderous remarks about the TFO front office. But Slurs owner Tony G is always making slanderous remarks about pretty much everything. Would the Heroes be distracted as their owner is being exposed as a Hillary supporter? Well, at halftime, the game was all tied up, 7 apiece. Hollywood's first drive, and they settle for a 43-yard field goal by Donnie Karabatis, whatever. But the Slurs answer back with a beautiful 45-yard bomb from quarterback Spear Chucker to wide receiver Raja Tallyhead. The Heroes were then held to 2 punts, and with around 2 minutes left in the game, it looked like the racial slurs were going to put away the loudmouth Heroes. That was until wide receiver Tony Dago fumbled the ball, allowing Heroes linebacker Star-Lord to scoop it up. A few plays later, and we are at 4th down with 12 seconds remaining on the 15-yard line. Jesse Ventura fakes his handoff to Al Bundy, and the defense bites, leaving Meatwad open in the end zone. But Ventura is pressured by the slur defense and has to instead shovel the ball into wide receiver Snake Plissken's hands. The defense dives, but Pliskin is just a hair out of their reach, and he flies right into the end zone for the game-winning score. Slurs 14, Heroes 17. And this gives Hollywood their 10th victory this season, ensuring their participation in the TFO postseason. Way to go, Clayton. Even though you're a slandering piece of crap, you do know how to run a team. Congrats. South Jersey Slashers fought off against the WWF Hoffs. A game in which the Slashers had to win or jeopardize their entire season. The Hoff season has been trashed long ago, but they still are coming out each week in an attempt to finish strong. And they look to have placed the brakes on South Jersey, as in the 4th quarter, on a drive in the red zone, the Hoffs hit Slasher superstar running back Michael Myers hard, and he's carted off the field. The Slashers had to take a field goal on that drive after that devastating injury. It only placed them up by 7. But the South Jersey defense made up for the difference and forced the Hoffs to punt. And from there, the Slashers just run down the clock and clinch the victory. Slashers 17, Hoffs 10. And the final Sunday afternoon game, the Venture Industry took on the Champs Chumps. At one time, Venture Industry was at the top of the Mad Snap division, but now the World's Warriors have secured the divisional championship, and so Industries is trying to overcome the injury-prone Brock Sampson and hope to be a wild card contender. But the Chumps are still hoping to make the postseason too, but to do that, they would need a victory and some luck. And both teams battled as if this was their last game. We joined the game in the 4th quarter as the teams are tied at 28. Chumps wide receiver Chuck Liddell uses the fake runaround and is able to slip past the Industry defense line to take the Champs up by 7. But Venture's Brock Sampson is able to smash mouth into the red zone, allowing Dr. Venture to connect with Hank Venture, and we're going to overtime. The Chumps choose to return and are able to push themselves easily into field goal range. Charlie Braun comes out and from 34 yards is able to end this contest. Industries 35, Chumps 38 in overtime. And then on Sunday Night Football, brought to you by the Vintage Game Vikings. Vintage Game Vikings for all your bitchingness about retro games. It's the Raider All-Stars taking on the Weapon X's. The All-Stars started this season at 2-5, and the Weapon X's were 1-4. Both have showed great adversity over the last few weeks, and now the All-Stars are 7-6, and the X's are 6-7. Both are hoping to compete for a wild card spot, or even potentially the Bad Crackle Championship, especially as the Beer Gods are on a 4-game losing streak. A win here would tie the All-Stars with the lead of the division, and a win for the Weapon X's would have them just 1 game back from first. It's crunch time. X's come in with the Spider-Man still out filming scenes for his new Marvel Sony movie. Wolverine threw an early interception, and that lets shitty Bo Jackson run the shitty play to take the All-Stars up 10-0. But quarterback Wolverine shakes off the adamantium rust and hits wide receiver Captain America in stride to bring the game within 3. But right before the half, the Raiders are able to move down the field, and Janikowski puts them up by 6 going into the half. In the second half, the All-Stars just manhandled the X's. Jack Tatum picks off Wolverine for the second time on the day. Janikowski's able to score another field goal. Nathan Schuster catches a Jim Plunkett touchdown throw. And even the defense is able to sack Wolverine in the end zone for a safety. Just brutal. And to seal the game, Wolverine throws his 3rd interception right into his own end zone. Ouch. All-Stars 25, X's 7. And now the All-Stars are tied with the Beer Gods for the lead in the Bad Crackle division at 8-6, which means this division will come down to the final week of the regular season. And speaking of standings, let's go into the standings here. So the Bad Snap, we got a tie for first there. Both teams are 10-4, the Stellar Offenders and the Hollywood Heroes. 10 wins always gets you into the playoffs. We've never had a team not get 10 wins, not make the playoffs, so it looks like both of them are making it. But one of them, really they're fighting for the bye now. One of those teams is going to get the bye. The other is going to get a wild card spot. Wild card spots do not get byes. The Boxhead Capers and the Lost Survivors are both 7-7. They're looking to fight for a wild card spot as well, based on their performance in the next 2 weeks. Bad Crackle division, you got the Beer Gods and the Raider All-Stars tied for first at 8-6. The DBZ squad is second at 7-7. They're fighting for a wild card spot. And the Weapon X's still aren't out at. They're 6-8. 8-8 potentially could make it. It all depends on the different records, but they'd have to have a good tiebreaker, so they really need to pick it up. In the Bad Pop, the Turtles are on top, 7-7. The Racial Slurs and the 8-Bit Brigade are both 8-6. So they're still in it. There's a potential possibility. But, really what that division looks like is whoever can win the division. Big game is coming up here on Sunday Night Football, which is going to be the Turtles against the 8-Bit Brigade. And that's going to be a massive game, because if the Turtles can win that, they are going to clinch the division. If they lose that, we could have a 3-way tie for first place. So keep your eye on that. We got the Mad Snap division with the World's Warriors clinching the division at 10-3-1. Venture Industries is 7-7. Rainbow Unicorns potentially could possibly slip in there with a wild card at 8-8. Last year we had a 9-7 not make it, so we didn't even take an 8-8 last year. So 8-8s may not make it, but you know what? You gotta scratch and claw. In the Bad Crackle, Greek Legends are still on top, 9-5. Westeros Guardians and the All-American Alkies are in second with 8-6, and the Champs Chumps are still fighting in there 7-7. So, that could be anybody's division. If the Greek Legends can get just a victory in week 16, they'll clinch the division. So they really need to get a victory there. And then the Mad Pop division, you got the Rap Kings on top, 10-4. Celestial Defenders are half a game back, 9-4-1. South Jersey's 1 game back, 9-5, and the Pallet Pokeballers, they're 7. So if they can win their next 2, they'll be 9-7. So with tiebreaker, maybe they can slip in there. So still a lot of movement. Injury report. We got a lot of people returning from injury this week. It's really good. We only have 4 people that are going to be out for this week, which is Kilrog Deadeye, the backup running back for Azrothian Assassins, Michael Myers of the South Jersey Slashers and Freddy Krueger of the South Jersey Slashers are both out. That is critically bad for South Jersey. They're only one game down. They need to be winning, and they have both their stars missing. That's harsh, man. That's harsh. Busta Rhymes for the Rap Kings is out. So, he's a wide receiver too. I think they're going to be okay. But returning is a bunch of people. The Great Gonzo, the Boxhead Capers, the Spider-Man Weapon X's. I think he could have made a big difference in the game that they had this week. I think they would have been a contender if he could have been there. Grom Hellscream of Azerothian Assassin, Simon Belmont, 8-Bit Brigade, Pizza Boy Kino, the Turtles, the Tyrant Mara of the Nocturne Maniacs. Man, they've missed him. Cousin Butch of the Hall of Famers. Let's see how long he stays not injured. Jack Daniels, All-American Alcoholic. Same thing for him. Says Cockapee Robot of the Robot Masters is coming back. Colonel Ace of G.I. Joe and Snow Job of G.I. Joe. So a lot of healthy people coming back, which is really nice. So it's going to make this next week interesting. So top five. Instead of doing top five, this week I'm going to do top six because I'm going to talk about 2016 wild card hopefuls. We can only take 6 wild cards. So I'm going to tell you the 6 teams I think that are going to get those wild card positions. Number 6, the Boxhead Capers. They're currently 7-7, and they're tied for 3rd in the bad snap with the Lost Survivors. I think that they are healthy now. Admiral Akbar's back. He looked good this week. Animal, he did cough up the fumble, but he's been solid all season. Boxhead Capers are a very resilient team. Miss Piggy leading that defense. I see them getting a playoff spot. And one of the big reasons I think they're going to get a playoff spot is I think they're going to win their next 2 matches. They're going to be playing the Nocturne Maniacs, which I think is going to be a hard matchup now that the Tyrant Mara is going to be back. But I think Boxhead's going to be able to hold him down with Miss Piggy and that solid defense. And then they're going to play the Hollywood Heroes. And I think the Boxhead Capers are going to be able to take down their rival, the Hollywood Heroes, on Sunday Night Football, the final game of the season. And that's going to secure their spot as the wild card. And I think that will cost the Hollywood Heroes the division. But that's my thoughts. Haha. Number 5, the All-American Alkies. They're currently 8-6. They're tied for 2nd in the Mad Crackle with the Westeros Guardians. They're 1 game down from the Greek Legends. I understand that. All-American Alcoholics were on top of the division early on. They looked dominant like they always did. But then we saw some cracks in the bottles. And it's really cost them. They've now slipped out of 1st. They're fighting for a wild card. They're tied with Westeros. I'm really picking them here because I don't think they're going to have enough to catch Greek Legends. Greek Legends just need 1 more victory, and they got it, and I think they're going to get one in the next 2 weeks. So really, the All-American Alkies are trying to beat out Westeros Guardians, and I think the Cinderella story of the Westeros Guardians is going to end. They've been on a great winning streak, 7 winning streak, best in their franchise history. I mean, they came from being crap to being, in contenders, you know what I'm saying? But I think the Alkies are going to edge them out here, mainly because their next 2 matches are against the Pallet Pokeballers. I think that's going to be the harder of the 2 matches. That's going to be run team versus run team. It's going to be pass team versus pass team. But I think the Alkies have the better defense with Willie Wild Turkey. So I think they're going to take that matchup. And then the Robot Masters. And the Robot Masters just haven't been doing good all season. I think the Alkies are definitely going to expose that. Number 4, the Beer Gods. They're 8-6 currently, and they're currently tied in the Bad Crackle with the Raidal All-Stars at 8-6. I just think that the Beer Gods, I don't know what has happened to them this season. They're spiraling out of control. They were doing amazing to begin the season with. They were 8-2, and they've lost their last 4 in a row. That's the most in that franchise's history. They've never lost 4 games like this. And so I don't know what they really need to do here. They need to reevaluate how that they're playing the ball. It's just been unfortunate. And I think that going forward, they're going to probably lose one of these next matches. They're going to be playing the DBZ squad in Week 16 and the Weapon X's in Week 17. I think the Beer Gods are going to lose one of those. I think the Raider All-Stars, they've just carried momentum here I think that they're going to be the opposite of the Westeros Guardians. Westeros Guardians, I think, is a Cinderella story that's going to end, but I think the Raider All-Stars are going to edge out the Beer Gods, and that the Raider All-Stars are actually going to be the winners of that division. So, haha. Number 3, South Jersey Slashers, 9-5. They're third in the Mad Pop. They're only one game down from first. Their next matches are doozies. They're playing the Hollywood Heroes and the Rap Kings. It's just hard for them, especially with Michael Myers being out and Freddy Krueger being out. They're almost a lock to lose next week. I mean, if Jason Voorhees can pick it up on defense and hold Al Bundy, maybe they can make something happen. But I don't know what they're going to do on offense. And so, because I think they're going to lose one of these next matches, I don't think they have a shot of winning the division. Division's too close. I think that also, if both these individuals are out during the Rap Kings are going to take advantage of that and win the division just based on beating the South Jersey Slashers, who don't have their players. So, but I do see the South Jersey Slashers squeaking in there for the playoffs. So I put them in here. And hopefully, both those guys will be back for the playoffs, and then South Jersey can make a run during the playoffs. Number 2, the Celestial Defenders. They're currently 9-4-1. They're second in the Mad Pop. They're only a half game down from first. So the big thing here is they're playing the Rap Kings next week. If they can beat the Rap Kings, they got a shot at the division. But I think the Rap Kings are going to beat the Defenders. You know, everybody's been talking about how the Rap Kings are pretenders. And I don't understand where this is coming. I know that they've got a negative differential. Whoopity-doo. But think of what kind of adversity a team's got to have to come back from a negative differential. They've put that behind them. They have moved forward. They've been doing some amazing offensive work. They've had some great defensive plays. You know, I definitely think the Rap Kings are winning that division. And because of that, the Celestial Defenders, they're going to have to settle for one of the wild card spots. And then my number 1 2016 wild card hopeful is the Hollywood Heroes. They're currently 10-4. They're tied for first in the Bad Snap with the Stellar Fenders at 10-4. And I think what's going to happen here, I already said it, their next matches are, he's playing the South Jersey Slashers next week. I think he's going to win that because South Jersey just doesn't have their people. So, and then he's playing the Boxhead Capers in the final game of the season. I think the Boxhead Capers is going to win that matchup and is going to cost the Hollywood Heroes the division, and then the Stellar Offenders are going to win the division for the first time ever. This is the first time they're going to go to the playoffs too, and they're going to secure one of the buys. And that's huge. So I think the loss against the Boxhead Capers week 17 is going to be too much for the Hollywood Heroes and Al Bundy. So that's who I think is going to make the wild card spots. And then it's see you next Tecmo, but it's not. You know that. What time is it? 28 minutes. Damn. Man, I talked for a long time, didn't I? So, I mean, I won't keep you too long here because I did talk for a while. But there is something that I was looking at that I did want to point out in case y'all didn't see this. And what it is that the running backs are coming very close to what we call breaking the game. And what we mean by this is this term came up during the 2014 season when Bonaire was looking to break the game. And by breaking the game, what we mean is that Tecmo only tracks rushing attempts up to 255. So any rushing attempt after that won't be calculated as an attempt, but it'll still calculate the yards and everything. So the first problem with that is that the average kind of gets whacked out because obviously it's not counting the attempts, but it's raising the yards, so the average is messed up too. So what happens there is I keep track of the weekly stats, so we'll be able to tell you exactly what the actual stat is. So don't freak or worry about that. So you guys will know the stats of the players. But to give you some perspective here, the most running attempts ever in TFO was by Bonaire from the Cleveland Steamers in the 2014 season. He ran 249 attempts. Well, that record this week was broken by the DBZ Squad's Broly. Broly now has 250 attempts on the season, which means that if he can run for 6 more times, he will, quote unquote, break the game. And he will have achieved that status. No one has ever broken the game. No one has ever broken the 255 marker for attempts there for rushes. So it's kind of a big deal. Bo was really trying to go for it, but it looks like Broly is going to get it. There are some others that are close too. You got Al Bundy of the Hollywood Heroes at 239. And then you also have Michael Myers of the South Jersey Slashers at 225. I think what's going to hurt Myers there is he's injured. And so I don't think that he is going to get... I don't think he's going to get it. So, but Al Bundy has a real shot there of getting it as well. So, but don't worry, the screenshots, everything that you'll see on the website and all the information you'll be given will be the correct information. So, but I saw that and I thought that was very, very interesting. I like it when people are breaking records and doing good things. So it's always good to see that. And I like it. I like it a lot. I mean, like, we already had, the most interceptions thrown broken this season, Mark Summers. Luckily, he didn't throw any this week, so good for him. Interception-wise, we talked about Leatherhead earlier, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles getting another interception. He's actually the number 1 interceptor. He has 7 interceptions on the season, and he returned one of those for a touchdown. And returning an interception for a touchdown is a pretty big deal because not a lot of people do it. Barry Allen of the Hollywood Heroes is right behind him at 6 interceptions and a touchdown as well. So, I mean, those two guys are really, really looking great out there on the field. Speaking of defenses, I speak his ways all the time. Jason Voorhees on how far ahead he was and how many more sacks that he had than everybody else. Well, Commander Hannibal of the World's Warriors has just come out of nowhere now, and really, he's overtaken Jason Voorhees. Jason Voorhees has 26 sacks, but Hannibal now has 27. That's incredible that he came back from... He had a few games there where he was just a sacking machine. Somebody must have been out of condition, and he just abused and took advantage. Miss Marvel's up there as well. She has 21 sacks for the Celestial Defenders, and Miss Piggy has 19 sacks for the Boxhead Capers. And then what's funny here is in the top 10 here, the World's Warriors actually has 3 linebackers or 3 defensive people. They have Commander Hannibal as number 1 with 27 sacks. They have Alexander the Great at number 5 with 18 sacks. And then they also have General Sherman at 8th with 13 sacks. So the World's Warriors are just a breed on their own. Like, their defense and offense is clicking on all cylinders. And I don't know if I can say that they can be stopped. I mean, Sun Tzu is the number 1 quarterback right now. To give you a perspective here, he is 48 yards shy of 4,000 passing yards. And that's a huge deal because the next nearest person is Jim Beam. He has 3,000 passing yards. He is 1,000 passing yards shy. Now, the most passing yards in a season goes to Maud Lebowski. She had 4,623 yards. So for Sun Tzu to break that record, he's going to have over 300 passing yards for the next 2 weeks. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on. Can he do it? I don't think he can. That kind of seems way out of grasp. I mean, I think he might throw over 300 yards for one of the games. I could say that. But in completion-wise, he has 126 completions. And the most completions ever were also by Maud Lebowski during that 2014 Pussy Wagon season. She has 156. Most attempts go to Jim Plunkett last year. He threw 242. And Sun Tzu only has 183. That's the other thing about Sun Tzu is he has thrown more, too, than a lot of these other quarterbacks. Like, in the top 6, he has the most throwing attempts. He has the most completions. He has the most yards. And he has the most average yards. The only thing that he doesn't have better at is completion percentage, which goes to Tywin Lannister, the Westeros Guardians, who's really bootstrapped that Westeros Guardians team and brought them to the Promised Land. They are they beat the Greek legends this week, and that really puts a wrench in that Mad Crackle division. Something to keep your eye on. And I mean, if we're gloating about the world's warriors like we were, we might as well talk about the number one wide receiver, General Patton. He has 1,846 yards. To put that in perspective, that is almost 400 more yards than the next nearest person, which is Westeros Guardians' Sir Jamie. So, man, number 1 and 2 quarterback, number 1 and 2 wide receiver. Man, and General Patton has had 51 receptions this season. The next person has 32. Actually, it's 33 for the Pokemon. It's Gyarados. But, I mean, that is incredible. He's almost had 20 more. What is the reception record? I can look that up real quick. Wide receivers. Most receptions. Beatrix Kiddo, 56 receptions. So if General Patton can catch 5 more, he'll tie the record. So he just needs to catch 5 more passes within the next 2 weeks, and then he'll get the record. That's pretty cool. What about yards then? Is he close to that then? Oh no, most yards was Willie Galt. Wow, he had 2,577 yards, and General Patton only has 1,846. So that's kind of incredible. Most touchdowns, not even close. Willie Galt in that 2014 season had 40 passing touchdowns, 40 reception touchdowns. Can you believe that? Sir Jamie has 22 right now. He's second on the receiving list. That's wild. Just insanity sometimes, you know what I mean? Some records are insane, some aren't, you know. Some are meant to be broken. Will General Patton break the reception record? Who knows? I mean, his team is the first to clinch too. So, is the World's Warriors team the best Dale Johnson team ever? That's an excellent question, especially when you compare them with the Tolkien Tecmo Heroes last season and how well they were. I believe they went into the playoffs as the number 1 seed, and unfortunately they just got knocked off. That happens sometimes, you know. So, all right, well, we're getting into week 16. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna try to do something with the Vintage Viking guys. They're gonna be at Korg's this coming weekend, the 28th, the Memorial Day weekend. So I'm going to be up there as well. I won't have the baby, so I'm going to hit them up, and we'll see if we can do some recordings, maybe a Sunday Night Football or something like that. I know they're playing 8-Bit Brigade versus Turtles. I wouldn't mind seeing that matchup, you know what I'm saying? So definitely we got some things in the works. I was talking to Commissioner Ryan Anderson, who's not poisoning Hollywood hero players or anything like that. This whole controversy is just ridiculous and needs to stop. Clayton Willis is just, he's just trying to create controversy because his team's sucking. So he just wants an excuse. So, but Ryan Anderson's been doing some great work for TFO. We got a big announcement coming up soon. I know I talked about it with a couple owners when they were here doing some commentary, but we didn't release the audio for that. And so Mr. Anderson's been working diligently to get something announced for the postseason, something that you guys are going to be excited for, something to reward players of good teams. You know, we're always looking to do some great stuff. Ryan Anderson's been a great commish. He's done a lot of stuff for TFO. Now he's freelance reporting on his own. This is amazing. That man is a legend, legendary. So, you know, maybe I'll sit down and have an interview with him. I want to talk about Bo Nair, how he's doing in retirement. Probably the greatest running back we'll ever have in TFO. You know, I think a one-on-one interview would be great. You know, we're going to work that out. So, I also got hit up by Dutch Oven owner Aaron Anderson. He doesn't have a team anymore, but, you know, he was talking with me, and, you know, I might have him come up for some commentary. So you might be seeing him again, so some old faces. So keep your eyes peeled for TFO. You know, we're doing big things here. So, all right. And see you next Tecmo.